Hello, Values Coaches. This is Joe Ty with our weekly reminder. And today I want to talk about self-talk, more specifically managing negative self-talk. You've all seen this picture. I found it on the internet. Tabby Cat looks in the mirror and sees a lion looking back. And that is such a great metaphor for what we have to do in life. We have to look past that funhouse mirror that makes us seem smaller and weaker than we really are, and see the person we could become if we could overcome our fears and do the things that we have to do. And I love this bumper sticker. I used to have superhuman powers, but my therapist took them all away. And isn't that what life does to us? The dreams, the self-image that we had as little kids get kind of ground out by life, and we have to rebuild them. And unfortunately, as Mihai Csikszentmihalyi in his book, The Evolving Self, describes, the human mind, unless you're consciously directing it in positive ways, will automatically gravitate toward negative, frightening, and depressing thoughts. And I have tested that myself in many public presentations. Last year, I had a presentation for about 2,000 people. Remember when we could get 2,000 people in one auditorium? And as I often do, I asked in live polling this question, and 7 out of 10 people admitted to having a constant struggle with negative self-talk. I know I do, and I know many of you do. And one of the things that we as values coaches can do is help our colleagues, help our family members, help ourselves recognize negative self-talk for what it is and reprogram it with something positive. And all of that was before COVID-19. And now almost all of the news that we see is stressful, it's depressing, it is anxiety provoking. Many of us are struggling with our own worries, our own job fears, our own health fears, and negative self-talk loves that. It'll jump on that in a minute. And what negative self-talk is telling yourself lies about yourself, believing the lie to be true, and then it becomes your reality. And the most important speech you ever give is the one you were never trained to give, the one that you give to yourself all day, every day. And here's the thing about negative self-talk. That voice will always, always, always be in the second person. It's not really even you talking. You will never hear that voice say, I'm not good enough. Nobody likes me. I'm not smart enough. It's always as if somebody else is talking to you. And why is that? Because in a very real sense, that is exactly what is happening. A long time ago, somebody said something to you, it hurt, it stuck, and it's still up there. It's metastasized, and it's become poor self-image and low self-esteem and negative self-talk. It's like you have an army of squatters up there printing your mind with the graffiti of negative self-talk. The Reverend, back in the early part of the last century, Martin Lloyd-Jones said, have you realized that most of your unhappiness is due to the fact that you're listening to yourself and not talking to yourself? And what he really meant is you're listening to all those other voices. They're not the real you talking. It is an echo of what somebody else said to you a long time ago. And how do you talk back to a disembodied voice? It's really hard. And that's why we create a metaphor. We use metaphorical visualization. And there are 3 steps in my process that I want to remind you of. First, visualize negative self-talk for what it is. It is mental graffiti. It's that little vandal up there in the attic running around with a spray can. So go to Google and Google spray can graffiti artist cartoon. Literally, I mean that. These are things that I found on the internet just by Googling those words, spray can graffiti artist cartoon, and pick one. Make it yours. This is my guy. I found him on the internet. His name is Truck. Truck as in truculent. And I got this truculent little vandal up there running around with a spray can, creating negative self-talk. So negative self-talk is telling yourself lies about yourself. Step number 2, you need to have a janitor to clean out those bad lies. Someone to give you a nice fresh wall. And I mean literally go to Google and Google housekeeper cartoon or janitor cartoon. You'll see hundreds of them. Pick one that works for you. This is my guy, Spike. And whenever I get negative self-talk, any of those things that you can see on the screen, I call, and I mean literally, I'll close my eyes, take a breath. I say, Spike, get rid of this stuff, please. give me a clean wall. For step number 3, you're going to lie to yourself. Negative self-talk is telling yourself bad lies. Why not tell yourself good lies? You're all familiar with the self-empowerment pledge. 7 simple promises, not easy, but simple, that will change your life. I repeat these promises to myself multiple times a day, every single day. And I break those promises. I've been doing this for more than 10 years and I still break the promises, but you know what? I'm a lot better than I used to be. So if you're going to tell yourself lies, why not tell yourself good lies? Almost by definition, that is what a positive affirmation is. The reason you need to affirm something positive is because it's not there yet. So tell yourself good lies. Jeffrey Schwartz is a neuropsychiatrist at UCLA, and he wrote this book, The Mind and the Brain. And it's about neuroplasticity, brain plasticity, the ability of the human mind to reconfigure itself physically in response to not only direct experience, but directed mental thought. And I actually called him on the phone and I told him about this janitor in your attic exercise. And he told me that if somebody continued to do that in a good faith way, he would be able to measure physical changes in that person's brain using fMRI or other imaging technologies because you have hardwired positive self-talk into your brain. So let's wrap up with this last metaphor. Take off the dark glasses that we're all wearing right now as we look at the headlines and put on a pair of rose-colored binoculars and start talking to yourself in a more positive way. You'll be glad you did. And then share it with other people. They'll be glad that you helped them. See you next time.